Welcome, everyone, to our third class on the 12 spiritual laws of the universe. I hope everybody is doing well and having a nice day or night whenever you're watching this. For those of you who do not know me, I am Joshua the Psychic. Welcome to my channel. Be sure to like and subscribe and check out my website for resources. I do readings, coaching, parties. You can get gift certificates for everybody on your holiday list, and you can get the current horoscopes for this lunation. Whatever lunation it is that you're watching this, you'll get the horoscopes for that. Currently, if you're catching this live or around the 19th of September, the lunation that we're in right now is the full moon in Pisces lunar eclipse that we had on the 17th. So do check that out. Hello, Casmar. Nice to see you. Good evening. I hope you're doing well. So last week, hello, Pam. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining tonight. So just to reiterate, our objective is to understand the 12 spiritual laws and apply them to manifest health, wealth, love, and happiness, or perfect self-expression. So self-expression is even when you are living your life. You say you want to fall in love, that's self-expression. You're expressing your love. Say you are caring for people, that's expressing your nurturing side. Say you are designing a house, right? You're expressing your creativity or a project. So expressing yourself is a really big aspect of this, because you can express yourself through love, through your health, through your wealth, and however you wish. And that's the name of the game. So last week we spoke about the law of attraction, how the frequency that you broadcast attracts what you get, or determines what you attract. The law of correspondence, how as within, so without, as above and below, as above, so below, how the outer world is a direct reflection of your inner world, and the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. So energy is constantly changing. You can change it to however it is that you want, as long as you have that energy. Like a good example of this is anger. If you're angry, that is a lot of energy, and actually anger is higher up in the emotional scale than depression. Therefore, it's better to be perhaps angry than depressed, because depressed is lower, your lower vibe, right? When you're angry, you can say, okay, I'm really, really, really angry. What do I want to utilize this anger for? Do I want to put it toward a workout? Do I want to put it toward a project? Do I want to white tornado my house and rage clean? For instance, those are some ways you can use anger or any other energy that you have. You can transform it, because it's constantly changing anyway. So the formula that we spoke about before: you decide who you want to be, you trust the decision, and then you act like you trust the decision. Now, we do this all the time. It might seem like we're always the same person, but that's just because we're making the same decision over and over and over again. So just make that decision. If you're looking for something in your life, decide that you're going to be the type of person that attracts that type of thing that you want. And these laws are going to help you to do that. One affirmation that you might want to say, especially during this period, if you're catching this live, I give thanks for my permanent happiness, my permanent health, my permanent wealth, and my permanent love. And we can all say it together if you're alone. Well, even if you're not alone and you're not embarrassed, you can say it with me. I give thanks for my permanent happiness, my permanent health, my permanent wealth, and my permanent love. Because what you want to do is create a new baseline that you're usually happy, you're usually healthy, you're usually wealthy, you're always in that state, right? As much as possible of love, right? So another formula besides the decide who you want to be, if that's too difficult, just decide where you're headed. And it's just a matter of keeping your eyes on the road. Are you headed toward lack or abundance? Are you headed toward fear or love, sickness or health? You can always say that you're moving toward what it is that you want. That's why instead of saying, I am sick, you could say, I am healing, right? You're in that state of transition. If you're not in the state that you want to be in, you can always tell yourself, oh, I'm moving toward that. I'm moving toward happiness, or I'm moving toward love, wealth, etc. And then you trust that decision, that you're moving toward that end. And then you act like you trust the decision, which is essentially decision maintenance. If you wind up going back, say in terms of you made the decision and you wanted to make the decision that you're somebody who attracts lots of friends, let's say, and you find something when you're in the process of meeting friends, then you get shut down. Well, you could utilize that and say, okay, well, this is evidence that I don't attract friends easily. And the universe says yes. Like, the universe doesn't care. The universe is Switzerland. It's like, it allows you to create whatever it is that you want. But if you make that decision that, oh, you don't attract friends easily, well, you've reverted to the old self. So you want to remind yourself, no, I told myself that I'm going to be going in the direction of attracting friends more easily, or I decided I'm going to be that person. So oftentimes when you're in the process of changing your self-construct, which is everything's going to start with you. You might revert back to the old self, and that's normal, right? You just want to make sure that you're getting in the habit to discipline yourself and remind yourself, wait, I made that decision. I am this, or I'm going in this direction. So oftentimes, if you're upset about something, I'm not suggesting you keep it in, because that's bad. You're borrowing trouble. If you're upset about something, you're like, oh no, everything's fine. Like, that's not cool. You want to let it go, right? However you can, exorcise it out of you, but don't stay in the dirty bathwater too long. So if you have any negative feelings, do what you can to express them, but don't get indulgent in your negative emotions, because however you're feeling, the mood that you're in is essentially what you're attracting. So you always want to try to get in as good a mood as possible. And, we're in Virgo season right now, if you're catching this live, and it's all about your habits. Like, what habits can you employ on a regular basis that are going to make you more than likely be in a good mood? For some people, it's exercise. Some people, it might be abstaining from certain substances or sugar. Other people, it might be a walk or playing with their animals. You got to find the right formula for you as to what's going to consistently keep you in a good mood. Because if you're in a good mood, you're going to attract what you want, right? You want to be in the mood to fall in love. You want to be in the mood to win $1 million, etc. Additionally, sometimes, as I said, it's not always easy to get into a good mood. So if you're in a really negative state, if you got a hair across your ass, so to speak, you can't go from being angry and angsty to, oh, joyful and enlightened and I'm happy and I'm loving. You can't do that. It's too much of a vibrational jump. So you want to do something if you're in a bad mood to soothe your energy and get yourself in neutral territory. This could be watching a show that you really like, or listening to a song, or petting your dog or cat, going for a walk, anything that soothes you so you can get into neutral territory. And really, the big thing with all of this, your number one priority needs to be peace of mind. That's going to be the prerequisite for all of your manifestations. In fact, that should be your only goal, perhaps in the beginning, that you just want peace of mind. Because then when you have peace of mind, then you can say, okay, well, this is what I'm playing with here. This is what I need to do to yield the results I desire. So peace of mind is like number one. So soothe yourself if you're not in a good state. And this is the emotional scale. If you've worked with me before, you know of the scale. If you notice, you got anger here in the orange and hatred below that. But what's interesting is disappointment is up higher. So you want to allow yourself to bring yourself up the scale as much as possible. You want to bring yourself as up as possible. The very bottom of the scale is fear, grief, despair, powerlessness, right? So you want to go up. It's better to be jealous than insecure. It's better to be angry than hateful. It's better to be blaming other people, actually, than angry. Not that that's good. It's better to be doubtful than worrisome. It's better to be overwhelmed than disappointed. It's better to be bored than frustrated. It's better to be hopeful than bored. And of course, it's better to be passionate than contented. And that's where you want to be. You want to ideally be at love or above. Joy, appreciation, empowered. And the big empowerment is taking drastic responsibility. It's very, very easy to get into a victim mentality. Oh, this always happens to me. And it's very, very easy for that to happen, especially if we're not taught that we got to take responsibility and that we create our own reality. Like, because it doesn't make sense, right? Why would I create this grief? Why would I create this terrible situation that happened? And it's strange, but it might be because of karma. It might be because of subconscious beliefs that you may have. But as soon as you take drastic responsibility, that's when you can change it. As soon as, when we start pointing, as soon as it's all thumbs and I start pointing me, I did this, I created this, I'm the responsible person for all of this, the buck stops with me, that's when I'm empowered. And that's when I can actually create things. So take as much responsibility, drastic responsibility as possible. And if you're looking to create something or manifest something, or something's just really, really bothering you, you want to allow yourself to just ignore it if you can. Be undisturbed by a situation and it will fall away of its own weight. I noticed this with personally in LA, because LA is a Virgo. The sign of LA is Virgo. And they're always like picking on things and like fussing with things. And they're always blowing leaves. And leaf blowers, if you've heard of them before, are very, very loud and obnoxious. And if I'm really annoyed about hearing a leaf blower, it'll go on for hours. But if I say, you know what, they're making LA beautiful, etc., believe it or not, the leaf blowing tends to not be as long. So be undisturbed by a situation, ignore it if you can, and it will fall away of its own weight. A little trick for you. So tonight we're going to talk about the law of cause and effect, how every action has a consequence. That's essentially karma. The law of compensation, how energy flows in accord to what we've done, both good and bad. If we contribute love and harmony to the universe, we're going to get that back. If we contribute toxicity and negativity, well, we're going to get that back, right? Again, the universe does not care. It does not care one iota. It just, it gives us the ability to create whatever it is that we want or whatever it is that we are. And the law of relativity, how everything is relative and can only be evaluated in relation to something else. And this will help you get to that next level of manifestation. So the law of cause and effect, every action has a consequence. You could think of it like dominoes. You push one and a chain reaction ensues, right? That's why those, little bit of kindness goes a long way. Chatting up the grocery clerk who looks like she might be in a bad mood or sad, right? Or checking in on, a friend, or just even giving a therapeutic smile to a stranger on the street, or opening a door. These little things are important because if we go back to the law of one, you are that person. You are that grocery clerk. You are that person that is on the street, etc. So everybody is ourselves pushed inside out. So when you are being kind to your fellow humans and doing acts of kindness, you're really doing them for yourself because we're all connected. And then we wonder why good things then happen, right? Essentially, the law of cause and effect is that we reap what we sow. So you can focus on building whatever it is that you want, right? But you've got to make sure that you're nurturing it on a regular basis. So that's why our habits are so important. It's a matter of making sure that day in and day out, you're watering your garden or you're pulling your weeds from your garden, right? And nourishing the inner world really is most important, because if you nourish the inner world, you're going to create abundance wherever it is that you go. Because as we said with the previous law, the law of, hold on, I forgot which law it is. The law of correspondence, everything is a direct reflection, right? So as above, so below, as within, so without. So you want to make sure you're nourishing that inner world. So understanding the law of cause and effect, action and reaction, every action has a corresponding action. You can't spit up in the air and not have it go down in your face, right? Everything has a consequence. Everything has a corresponding reaction. Circumstances reflect our state of consciousness. The universe mirrors our chosen state. So, as we said, circumstances are inherently neutral. We're the assigners of meaning. So you can label any inherent circumstance positive and derive positive results. We see this all the time with people who lose their job. Person A is really ecstatic. That's so great. I hated my boss. Fantastic. I'll find a better job that pays even more, make a big pay jump. The other person's like, my life is over, right? So you always want to assign positive meaning to every circumstance because they are inherently neutral anyway, and then you'll derive positive results. So when you allow yourself to change your consciousness, it's going to reflect back to you, right? Sometimes what gets people tripped up is that it's like an echo. Like if you yell, echo, 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 you're going to hear that even after you say echo again. So what I'm saying is the first thing that you were vibrating before you decided to make a better decision, you might hear. So like you can change your vibration, but you still might get evidence from you might get a reflection back from the old you. It's not, it's a process. It's a matter of you've been practicing a vibration for a while. You got to think of it, if you've ever created a website, you can create a website, great. But like that next day, if you go on Google and you search for the website, it's not going to be there. It has to propagate, right? It has to go through all the systems and the interwebs, and it has to get aggregated by the system. Same thing with the universe. It's going to take a while for the universe to get the coding, right? So be patient with yourself. Mindful thoughts and actions. Doubt, worry, or fear can negate positive manifestation. So sometimes you're doing everything that you can to manifest something, but you're like, oh, is it here yet? Is it here yet? Sometimes like when you're, waiting for somebody to pick you up, right? And you're looking out the window. Are they there yet? Are they there yet? It goes on forever. Watch pot never boils. Because the thing is that when you are looking for your friend, has the friend arrived? Has the money arrived? Has the lover arrived? Etc. It's like we're taking score too quickly, and we're doing that, and it broadcasts doubt. Like if you were to go to a restaurant and you ordered something, you wouldn't, jump out of the table 2 minutes later and run into the kitchen to make sure the cook is preparing your order. You would take for granted that the waitress gave your order, it's being processed, and you'd relax with your friend at dinner, right? We need to do the same thing when we're trying to manifest, because sometimes if we have a lot of angst or worry or anxiety, we're blocking it. So we could be doing everything, but if we're worried, if we're checking, if we're, keeping score too quickly, it's going to buck your current. It's going to keep you from manifesting what you want. As we said, the universe is Switzerland. It does not care what seeds you sow. It'll grow whatever seeds you have planted. So just keep that in mind. I think it's very easy for us to like, why isn't the universe doing that? Well, you are the universe. Why are you not broadcasting from a place of faith, of perfect trust, right? What's cool, too, about the law of cause and effect, there's backwards causation, too. So an effect can create a cause. Human behavior, for instance. I could say, Sally is just so smart and articulate. And then what might happen is that Sally becomes more smart and articulate. You can actually do this with handwriting analysis. So like say, putting a C as when you're dotting your I, putting it in the shape of a C is supposed to mean that you're more observant. But you could also start dotting your I with the shape of a C and become more observant, right? So we see this with economic systems too. The economy's terrible. Okay. And then becomes terrible, right? Or, oh, it's a good market day. So we can reverse engineer it. We see this, of course, with placebo effects. People take, sugar pills, and then there was a movie about somebody who took a sugar pill and somebody had told them that it was a pill that was going to kill them, and they actually had symptoms of feeling as if they were going to die, right? So you can always do it in reverse too. So one thing that might be really cool along those lines of backwards causation are affirmations as compared to affirmations. Affirm, AFFIRMATIONS, would be, I am rich, I am healthy, I am in love, I am married, whatever it might be that you want. An affirmation is an empowering question that assumes what you want is already true or already has occurred. So instead of saying, I am rich, you would affirm a form by saying, why am I so rich? Because when you're posing a question like that to yourself, your brain acts as Google. It presupposes it's already true and goes searching for the answer. And if there's a discrepancy between the conscious and the subconscious mind, well, your brain doesn't like that. And it's going to look for reasons. It's going to look for reasons why you are rich, you are in love, etc. So try that backwards causation. And you might really like it. And if it feels uncomfortable for you, well, that shows you where you are in alignment, right? If it feels easy, then that's really a good sign. But ask yourself those questions. Why am I going to have such a great day today? Why is this meeting going to go so much better than I expect? These little questions that you might ask yourself. The most important person you'll ever talk to is yourself. So if you can manage and be really disciplined in terms of the conversations that you have with yourself, your life will really, really change. And this is part of your process of individuation, how you have to become your own parent. Because at the end of the day, no matter how amazing or wonderful your parents were, the process of individuation is going to require you to know how you need to nurture yourself with the divine mother within, how you need to discipline yourself with the divine father within. So utilize that divine father to make sure that you're talking to yourself in the right way, in a way that lifts you up and empowers you and not brings you down and keeps you stuck in circumstances that you don't like. So try those out. Embracing the law of cause and effect. The feeling of fulfillment in consciousness sends out energy vibrations that manifest corresponding circumstances. So the perfect manifestation space is satisfied but eager for more. It's like you got to be satisfied, because if you're feeling butthurt over something, you're like, oh, this sucks, this never happens. If you're dissatisfied, again, you're broadcasting that. You always want to be satisfied and eager for more. Thank you, Casmar. I appreciate that. Can you do this for others, like the affirmations? For instance, you mean like, why is Casmar so happy? Why is Casmar so rich? Why is Casmar so healthy? Sure, you could. The thing is, when you're doing it for others, and it's super helpful. And this is what I do for my clients, right? And you got to do it for anybody whose well-being you care about, which is really everybody. But you want to always visualize your friend or whoever you care about or want to help. You always want to visualize them happy, right? Like, this is where parents often screw up, because they have these wild imaginations. Oh, little Billy's going to get hit by a car, or whatever it might be, right? And that is not helpful. It's not helpful to worry about other people. You always want to see them in that state of extreme happiness. And you want to keep that vision of them. So think of Jesus, right? When Jesus saw the leper, the reason why he was able to heal the leper was because he was not in the vibrational wavelength of his disease, the leper's disease. So when Jesus was looking at him, as the story goes, it was a matter of he couldn't see what the leper had seen. And as an effect, the leper got healthy. So you always want to see people in that perfect space, and you totally could do it for other people. I think that's a beautiful thing, especially if you have somebody that you know that's not feeling well, or, oh, why is my friend feeling so much better? And why is my friend going to be so much more healthy after he gets over this illness, whatever it might be? Or why is my friend going to be making so much money? I really appreciate that question, Casmar. It's a wonderful thing to do. And I would do it for sure. I think it's a very good idea. So you always want to make sure that you're seeing people in a good state. And then you're going to solicit that. And that's going to be very, very helpful. So, yeah, thank you for that question. Totally keep that in mind. So don't let doubt, worry, or fear negate any of your manifestations, especially money. You never want to worry about money, because money is constantly in flow, right? And as soon as you worry about it, you break the flow and it stops flowing. So you want to make sure that you have that prosperity consciousness, and you know that it's constantly flowing. It never sleeps, right? And it's about circulating, because that's what abundance is. Abundance comes from, or affluence rather, comes from the French affleur, which means to flow. So if you are worried about money, well, that's not good, because you're not flowing, right? Or same thing in terms of really anything. You don't want to worry about love. You don't want to worry about anything. You want to flow as much as possible. So our state of being directly influences our reality, either expanding or contracting it. You can think about it that way. Am I either going in or am I going out, right? Out into the world. Am I getting bigger, which we all need to do? That's all the point, right? More is the mantra of the universe. Am I getting bigger or am I getting smaller? And you can actually see whether or not something's good for you, whether or not you feel like, oh, I need to shrink, or do I need to expand and grow? And whatever ideas that you have, because if you want more, you have to be more. So that's why expanding and growing and getting bigger is better for you, right? Because if you want more, you have to be more. How is your energy going to handle all of that love, all of that money, etc.? Unless you're really, 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 really big. And if you're contracting or restricting, it's not helping your cause. So you want to get bigger. That's why you want to do things that feel really good. Because if you're doing something that feels bad, and this is why being in good relationships are very important. Because if you're in a relationship with somebody and they hurt your feelings, you're naturally going to contract and restrict yourself because you don't want to get hurt, right? You want to be around people who love you, who honor you, who value you. So your heart is really, really open. Because then you're going to want to get bigger. You're going to be incentivized to get bigger. And then you're going to be able to attract more, right? If you're small, you're going to be attracting less, right? And that you don't want, right? And mastery involves maintaining a chosen state of consciousness regardless of circumstances. So again, we cannot control anybody else or a lot of the things that are going on. All we can control is our inner state. Luckily for us, our inner state is going to reflect back to us what our inner state is going to be reflecting back to us what we're attracting and vice versa. So if you can allow yourself to give thanks, as we said in the beginning, for your permanent love, your permanent health, your permanent wealth, your permanent happiness, that's going to really help you. If you can stay at the hub of the wheel, think of the wheel of fortune. You want to stay at the hub of the wheel. You don't want to be cast around by the wheel. So if you have good days, you're it's an emotional roller coaster and you're going this way, you're going that way. Life is too unpredictable, right? You deserve peace. And if you are ready for peace, you can stay at that hub of the wheel, and then you can watch your destiny go around and be like, okay, well, this is a bad season. Or, oh, wow, my luck has turned. Or look, there's an opportunity. I'm going to jump. Or this is a bad thing. I do not want on this train. I'm going to back off, right? So you always want to maintain that center, be at the hub of the wheel. Don't be tossed around by circumstances because then you're at their mercy and they're unpredictable. It's like you wouldn't get into a car with a drunk driver. So don't allow yourself to be tossed around by the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, so to speak. So wood must be added before you can get warm. So if you're not getting what it is that you want, well, what are you bringing to the table? What energy are you putting out there? And also, remember, like attracts like. If you're looking for your boss to be more generous, well, you can be more generous with other people. And it doesn't have to be monetarily. You can be generous in terms of praise, heap on the praise, or generous by going the extra mile, or generous by, not calling somebody out when they're acting in a way that you really don't appreciate, maybe letting things slide, magnanimous, right? But you want to add wood. So you got to always think about, okay, well, what am I contributing to the situation that is going to manifest for me what it is that I want? What am I bringing to the table? Am I being generous? Am I being loving? Am I being rich? And even in terms of, if you're not rich per se, well, yeah, you're rich in a lot of ways. I mean, if you have health, you're super rich. Health is your wealth, right? So you want to allow yourself to give as much as you possibly can to get. And it's not a matter of you're giving in order to receive. You're giving because you're a giver. You're giving because when you're giving to somebody else, you're giving to yourself, right? And it's the law of one. So manifesting with the law of cause and effect. Success leaves tracks. Emulate successful people to achieve similar results. I always say we're not reinventing the wheel here. If you want to do something, chances are that somebody has already done it. Granted, probably not the exact same thing, but something along those lines. So you wanted to get in a really good shape, find somebody who's really in good shape. What does she do? You want to make a multi-million-dollar business? All right, well, find out who has a business model that is somewhat similar to yours. Just do what they do. Study those people. Like if there's somebody who has what you want, you should wear them. It doesn't have to be somebody that's in your life. You can follow them on social media. You can read their biographies. You can watch their interviews or listen to their podcasts or whatever. You want to really allow yourself to get familiar because we're all telepathically connected, right? So when you're watching somebody or listening to somebody who has what you want, you're going to be able to start thinking on ways that you don't even realize you're thinking like they think. And that is key, right? So definitely emulate successful people. And that's why also, by the way, never want to be envious because that's keeping you away from what it is the other person has, right? Sustained thought, holding consciousness is what you want to manifest. You got to keep your eyes on the prize. If you were driving, you wouldn't have your eyes on the floorboard because that could be dangerous and not get you to where you want to go. So keep your eyes on the road. Where do you want to be? What decision did you make? In and out, being in harmony within oneself results in experiencing a harmonious universe. It's going to be really difficult for you to have inner harmony and to find conflict. It's just not going to happen. If you're at odds or conflicted within yourself, and then you wind up going out in the world, you're going to find conflict. But if you're at peace within yourself, it's going to be very difficult for you to court conflict. So it's all an inside job. So make sure that you make that peace of mind your only goal. And ideally, that's going to help you cultivate that sense of inner peace. That's going to make your life just so much easier. And right action, even if it's not felt internally, right action can produce corresponding states of consciousness. So you always just want to try to do the right thing. Because it's going to manifest for you in a positive way. Right? You always want to really be as considerate and kind as possible because we can't get away with anything. We really can't. So affirmations, as we spoke about, here's some that you could do for health. I'm not going to read them all, but you could screenshot them if you're watching this. For health, you could say, why am I so full of energy and vitality? For wealth, you can say, how is it that I always have more than enough money for everything I need and desire? Or why am I such a magnet for financial success? For love, you could say, why do I attract such loving and supportive relationships? And you might want to just dwell on that. Just sit with that. Why is my heart always open to giving and receiving love? Or self-expression. Why do I express myself so authentically and confidently? Why am I so in tune with my true self and my passions? Because if you do this, the subconscious is going to hear it so much, it's going to be like, well, might as well be true. Must be true, right? And that's really what you're doing is you're brainwashing yourself because you've been brainwashed. Whatever your parents' beliefs were before you even got here, when you were in your mother's belly, you're sharing everything with your mother, right? For better or worse. Your mother smokes a cigarette, she shares that cigarette with the child. If your mother's experiencing panic or worry or frustration, etc., you're experiencing that too. Even when you were born, right? Again, you're a tabula rasa. You're a clean slate when you're a baby. You're picking up in your environment everybody's beliefs about you as well, right? So parents that might be fearful or parents that might be insecure, they might, project their insecurities onto you, etc. So you were brainwashed. No doubt about it. So what this is doing in a lot of respects is helping you to brainwash yourself, right? Which is always a better idea. So the law of compensation is your second law. Abundance flows into our lives in many forms and is related to what we've done, good or bad, right? So this law states that individuals will be rewarded for their contributions and efforts. So if you go the extra mile at your job, that doesn't necessarily mean that your boss is going to look at it and say, we're going to give her a raise. He might, or it could be a matter of, in some roundabout way, somebody goes the extra mile for you and goes when you're sick to that store all the way out of town to get you the favorite soup that you love. So it's going to come back to you. It might not come back in the way that you necessarily want or expect, but it's going to come back. Rewards may not be immediate or the expected form, even in love. So even if you've put so much energy, say you love somebody so much and you love them, and nothing you ever did was good enough, or they found somebody else, that love that you gave that person doesn't just disappear. It goes out into the all's love, and it will create a new person for you. You've got to be cooperative in that, meaning you can't be like, there's nobody for me, because that person could be right in front of you and you'll just miss them, right? But if you're loving anybody, that energy, again, either it's going to make that person grow and give love back to you, right? Or it's going to go out there and it's going to most likely create somebody else. Oftentimes, people find these almost like composite characters. They meet somebody and they might have the hair of one lover they had before, and they might have the intellect of another. It's almost like they've been Frankensteined. The people that you meet might at times be Frankensteined into all of these past people with these different traits, one's voice or one's nose or one's whatever, right? So loving, for instance, even if you love somebody and that love is not returned, don't think that it was for naught, right? Because again, going back to the law of perpetual transmutation of energy, it cannot be created nor destroyed, right? So if you're loving somebody, or even if you were in a relationship for so long, again, that's an investment. That's an investment into love. And you could, if you're open to it, that love could transform and be a new lover if you ever want one. So that's always good to know. Keep that in mind. Compensation can be in various forms. It can be love, happiness, health, wealth, relationships, etc. So again, going the extra mile at work could help you to find the greatest friend you've ever had in your life, right? Or being generous might help you to find love or further happiness, etc. So you'll be comped. The world compensates based on what you give and how you think. So even your thinking is going to compensate you. Oh, everything will work out. Don't worry. Everything's always working out for me. You got to keep that front of mind. Even if you're really, really upset about something, even though it might not be easy to dwell on how everything's going to work out well for you, it's good to just know that this too shall pass. Success. According to Zig Ziglar, you will get all that you want in life if you help enough people get what they want. And really, that's key. And now I know that you could be watching this at any time, but we are under the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, and Pisces is a sharer. Pisces are very, very much sharing oriented, and they're the most spiritualized sign of the zodiac. And when I say that, they really understand the law of one. That's why a Pisces could just sit at a piano, having never sat at a piano before, and remember a song, and oftentimes they're able to play it. Meanwhile, this other guy over here, he's taking lessons upon lessons, and he can't even do half of the song that she can, because they know that we're all connected. And with Pisces knowing that, Pisces are very sharing oriented. They're incredibly sacrificial. So when we start looking at our goals and our dreams as something that can benefit all of humanity, i.e., well, if I'm really in love, I'm really going to be happy, and then I'm going to be having more energy to do this for other people. Or if I'm really, really, really rich, I can help my friends, and I can help that charity, or I can help that person who was so kind to me, and I never was able to compensate them for all that they did. When we start bringing other people, because remember, we're all connected, in with our manifestations, then you have a lot more power. Think of it as, oh, I can't wait to get rich, and I'm going to be able to buy my friend that, I'm going to be able to help this relative. I'm going to add to that versus I'm going to be rich and I'm going to get a Lamborghini and I'm going to get a house in the hills. The energy is much broader and bigger when you're incorporating other people. So all of your manifestations, if there's a way, or ideal manifestations, if there's a way to bring other people in on it, and it's about sharing, it's about loving your fellow human being, you're going to have more energy, right? And then you can be like, I want to be a conduit for this. I want to fall in love so I can show people that love is possible. Or I want to have a really, really, really successful business so I can give people the courage to embark on their own entrepreneurship ideals, right? So you always want to bring as many other people in as possible, right? And that's going to help you, right? Because again, the law of one, our very first law, we're all one. So when you're helping somebody else, you're really helping yourself. It's a reflection, law of correspondence, etc. All these laws are, you know, they well, I guess the law of one would do that, right? They make it, they become enmeshed. They're very, very, very parallel, a lot of them, right? So help other people. So embrace the law of compensation. Recognize that life's returns are based on your contributions. If you're getting in life something that you don't want, you got to have a nice diplomatic conversation with yourself. What am I doing to add to this problem? Or why am I getting this effect here? How am I being compensated? Am I being too self-focused? Am I being selfish? Am I not giving enough to other people? Whatever it might be. And this law applies to all aspects of life, your emotions, your finances, your relationships, and your thoughts. For instance, if you give love and good energy, you're going to get that back. If you give positive thoughts toward people, you're going to get that back. Might not be straight away, but you'll get that back. The world operates in a give and take balance, so you're not going to be able to give without receiving, right? It's about the balance. You're creating space. The same thing, in fact, with knowledge. If you wind up teaching what you know, what will happen, and for me, it happens like literally within 2 days, I'll open my brain up in such a way that I'll learn something that is very, very important. And why? Because I've shared, right? So I've shared my knowledge and then the universe is sharing something with me. Or it could be a matter of I'm emptying out my brain and I'm getting room for new things to come in, right? So you'll see that in every regard, that law of compensation. Being kind, spreading positivity, and going the extra mile can lead to greater rewards. If you're connected to source, this is not going to be a problem. So you always want to do what you can to connect to source and give from the overflow. So if you are connected to source and you're asked to, oh, would you mind staying an extra hour to finish up this project? I mean, obviously you should have your boundaries and you shouldn't, this isn't like me telling you like, let yourself get taken advantage of. No, not saying that at all. I'm saying instead, it's a matter of if you feel it feels right to you and you're in that place in which you can give, right? You don't have their plans after work. If you're in that space of you're connected to that source and there's an opportunity for you to give more, well, give. It's not going to really take anything out of you. But if you're not connected to the source and you're cut off from the universal supply of endless energy, and somebody asks you for something, are you kidding me? Do you know how much I've done all day? I'm so drained. I'm so tired. I'm not saying that, your body's going to need rest no matter what, even if you're connected to source, right? But there will be times in which you have an extra flow. And that's another thing that's cool. Miracles are really about when there are certain people who have extra and other people who don't have enough, right? And it's a matter of balancing things out, right? So when you find out you have a little bit of extra flow, go the extra mile, put in the extra time, right? And then it'll become a habit. Just you're not having to do it all on your own. Give love, forgiveness, especially forgiveness, passion, money, and blessings to others, and it'll come back to you tenfold. I mean, this is one of the reasons why forgiving is really, really helpful. It creates more abundance, right? And so does water under the bridge. Water under the bridge creates abundance because you're allowing yourself to say, okay, I forgive this person, wasn't right. I'm not saying you shouldn't have them back into your life, but you can forgive them, send them love, and keep that boundary. But you want to make sure that you're giving forgiveness because nobody's perfect, right? We all should be forgiven for something. We've all done something, or on a regular basis, we might do things and we might want mercy. Well, if you want mercy, then you got to be merciful with other people. So the law of compensation is also about that. And always give blessings. Bless your enemies. Never wish anybody harm. That will come back to you. As they say, curses like chickens come home to roost. So you never want to wish any ill on anyone. In fact, especially your enemies, because if they're happy, they're going to leave you alone. You don't want to deal with them. Another reason to do that, if you have a very strong feeling for somebody, whether you really, really love them or you really, really can't stand them or hate them or whatever, you have a contract. You have a contract with that person. And when you wind up leaving this earthly plane, whether it's, you dissolve into the galactic center or you meet St. Peter at the pearly gates of heaven, you will still find that person that you're still connected to is there with you. You'll take them into your next lifetime. Do you really want that son of a bitch in your life again? No. That's why you want to forgive them, let them go. Because if you have a strong emotion, you're keeping yourself attached to their energy. And that could be gross if the person's not a good person, right? So do whatever it is that you can to send that sense of love and forgiveness and letting go so you can move on, they can move on. Merry Christmas, right? Manifesting with the law of compensation. Oh, I'm glad you found that funny, Caspar. So focus on positive thinking, happiness, and inner peace, and you're going to get that back. Contribute to the world. Contribution to the world can be through efforts, ideas, actions, even sending love out into the universe every single day. Why not? It doesn't really cost you anything, right? Avoiding selfishness. Remember the law of oneness. Don't give to receive. You always want to give because you're a giver with no expectations of return. Because you want to keep the flow of abundance alive in the universe. You want to be the one. You want to be one of the people that help keep the flow going. Once you take responsibility and say, this is my universe, I want to make sure that everybody is happy because I want to be around that energy, right? As long as you take responsibility for that flow and being part of that flow of positive energy, you're going to be in a very good position. And focus on the joy of giving, but without expecting immediate returns. Again, like you want to give, not give to receive. Increasing the value of your contributions or exceeding expectations leads to greater compensation. So you can do more. Acts of kindness, something as simple as smiling or acknowledging somebody else, opening a door, taking somebody's shift from work, etc., that can enhance your happiness. Because again, they are you. You are them. And if you prioritize making others happy, that's going to increase your joy and fulfillment. So what you could do for an exercise for this law over the next week, let yourself be spontaneously moved to give to somebody. It could be a kind word, a gift, a gesture of assistance. It could be money if you're blessed financially or have extra. Approach this act with genuine sincerity and a pure heart, seeking only the joy of giving. And see how it feels. If you ask the universe for that perfect moment to present itself, you'll get it. Because the universe loves a generous giver. So definitely allow yourself to be spontaneously inspired. And the law of relativity. So this law, everything is relative, and it can only be evaluated in relation to something else. So this law teaches us perspective. Einstein said that everything is relative. So everything in our physical world gains significance only when compared to something else. That's light, that's dark, that's good, that's bad, that's hot, right? So it's all via their opposites. Our internal experiences, biases influence our perception of reality. So if you are 6 foot 9, you're not going to see somebody who is 5'11" is necessarily tall. But if you're 5'2", you might, right? So it's all about our internal experiences. If you've been treated like gold in your first relationship and your significant other dismisses you or whatnot, it's going to feel so like right through the heart, right? Because it's the scale, right? It's on a different scale. So everything is really relative. The meaning of situations is derived from the perspective we choose to view them from. So this is really helpful. I always think about that expression, or that story rather, where a guy's complaining. He's like, oh, walking down the road. He's like, these shoes are killing me. These shoes are just too tight. And he looks across and he sees a guy with no feet. That puts things in perspective, doesn't it? So everything is relative. So when we realize like that our situation, oftentimes the problems we have, people are praying for. They're praying, they would kill to have our types of problems. And another thing to remember, some of us are just addicted to worrying. So you might want to look at what problems would be great to have. Because you're probably, if you're a worrier, you're going to worry no matter what. Even if you have the perfect love, sex life, all the money in the world, you're still going to worry. So if that's the case, if you're a worry wart, then think about, what do you want to worry about? Worry about, your investments. I have to meet my CPA today. Or, geez, how am I going to divvy up the funds from this charity to that charity? Or how am I going to deal with that Swiss bank account? Those are the problems if you're a worrier, right? So think about that. Think about, how am I going to, if you're on the dating, like out dating and like, wow, how am I going to deal with having two people that I really, really like and they're really into me and they're both fantastic? How am I going to handle this? Think about the problems that you want to have. If you're a worrier who needs problems, which some of us are. And life sometimes presents us with problems or tests to strengthen our inner light. So a smooth sea never made a skilled sailor. Sometimes the universe will give us challenges so we can gain that level of perspective, to sometimes even see our gifts or what we bring to the table or how much more lucky we are than other people. Comparison is the thief of joy, Mark Twain. So you want to watch out for that. I think with the advent of social media, it's very, very easy to look at this person and be like, oh my God, she has this or he has that, or what do I have? Why doesn't my body look like that? Or why don't I have that house? It's all smoke and mirrors. I mean, that guy who's riding around in that Ferrari could be like eyeball deep in debt, right? You never know what's going on, because there are some people, just an aside, there are some people who are very, very, very gifted at curating a very, very particular image. And it works and we buy into it. So you don't want to compare. You never know what somebody else is going through. You don't know what they had to do in order to get to where they are. So you don't want to compare if you can all help it. If anything, if you have to compare, if anything, it might be helpful for you to compare from that place of gratitude. Well, look at my friend. He lost his job. I'm complaining about my job, but at least I have a job, right? So you always want to make sure that you're comparing in ways that are empowering. But generally, comparison is the thief of joy. You don't want to make yourself feel bad by comparing what somebody else has to what you don't have. Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit, Napoleon Hill said. So remember, everything is not lost. Remember that law of perpetual transmutation of energy. If you've invested into something, say you've invested into a job. Sometimes you have these jobs and you have to actually do work in order to, like, you have to either do an assignment, right? And you might have sweated on this assignment, and then you submit the assignment, you have the interview, and you don't get hired. Again, that energy that you put into that assignment, it is going to come back to you. Might be you don't have to do an assignment, but you get this really cushy job. Why? Well, you put all that blood, sweat, and tears into your previous assignment. So it all comes out in the wash as they say. So remember that if anything bad happens, there's a reason why that it happened, of course, but also you're going to be able to find something that balances it out. Nietzsche said, all things are subject to interpretation. Whichever interpretation prevails at a given time is a function of power and not truth. So oftentimes we're just giving power to things. And we're saying, oh, look, that symbol over there, that that Leonardo DiCaprio character over there. You're saying, oh, he has everything. He has all the women that he wants. He has all the money that he wants, right? And oh, geez, he has everything. And look at poor little me. Well, you're in that instance, I'm giving all this power to Leonardo DiCaprio, as opposed to me allowing myself to be in my power and say, oh, he has that. That's really cool for him. Well, do I want that? What do I need to do in order to get that, etc.? So it's all about where you're giving your power away, right? When you allow yourself to align with the power of the universe, you'll realize that we're all balanced. Like that person who might have a disability, well, they have a brilliant mind, right? Or other gifts that balance that. Or that person who is really beautiful might be as dumb as a box of rocks, right? So just keep that in mind. It's all relative. And however you see that, however you see these comparisons, it's where you're giving power. Thank you, Casmar, for the other super chat. What happens when someone is mean to you? Say name calling, so you name call back. How does that affect you? I think that you've settled the score. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like if somebody's giving something to you, I don't think it's spiritual to lie over and take it. I don't think so. So I don't think that does affect you. It's all about balancing. If somebody says something to you, you can't, you have every single right to defend yourself and attack back, I think. So how does it affect you? I think as long as you're getting rid of it. I think what would be worse if somebody calls you something and you're like, oh, I want to be a spiritual person. I can't retaliate. I can't say something back. So what you're going to do, you're going to have that anger or that hurt that you have from that person or those words in your head. No way. Give it back to him. Give it back to them. I mean, other people might say, turn the other cheek. I don't say that. No, you got to teach people how to treat you. So if you feel good, or it will feel good for you to get it off of your chest, I would do it. And I feel like if it feels good and you feel it's justified, well, you've balanced the situation. So I don't think it will affect you. Likewise, I mean, you could be such a filled up with love and abundance type person that, say somebody does call you something and you're like, this person is in a bad state. This person is, forgive them, Father, they know not what they do. You might decide that you don't want to retaliate. So it's going to be whatever makes you feel better. But I wouldn't say that you could hurt yourself, so to speak, karmically by fighting back. Never let anybody fight back. At the same time, again, you might not want to. You might not be worth your spit to retaliate with that person. So thank you for the question. And I appreciate the super chat as well. So yeah, you don't want to give power to things that don't empower you. So embracing the law of relativity, essentially, you want to recognize the power of perspective. Multiple viewpoints can be applied to any situation. So think of it this way. The Course of Miracles says we always have the power to see things differently. Sometimes we can get caught in a frame, and in that frame, this is the way it is, and these people are against me, and I'm the injured party or whatever, sure. But you could also see this from the other person's perspective, and that takes a tremendous amount of self-discipline because we're very used to our own perspective. Understand that feelings and emotions play a crucial role in shaping our perspective. You'll see this, that if you're in a bad mood, everything looks so much worse. 24 hours pass and you're in a better mood. Nothing that you were complaining about before has changed. In fact, things could even have gotten worse. And you see them with a completely different perspective. So it's the way that you see, the way that you feel right? It's your thoughts and your feelings that determine your perspective. And your perspective is everything. That's why it's super important to make sure that you're feeling as perfect as possible so you can see things with as bright a lens as possible. Because with the law of correspondence, if you're seeing things with a bright lens, bright things are going to come back to you, right? So your feelings and emotions are everything. That is the key to all of this, how you feel. Avoid the trap of negative comparisons. They can lead to feelings of resentment, jealousy, and hopelessness. Your friend who inherited, $100 million, well, you don't know what kind of trauma came with that $100 million. That $100 million could be it could be compensation for the losses that he endured, and you have no idea what he went through at all, right? So we do not know. We're seeing the glitz and the good things. We're not always seeing the sacrifices or the pain or what went into getting what it is that they have. So just keep that in mind. Emotion or energy in motion, that's what emotion is, energy in motion, is influenced by how we apply the law of relativity in our lives. So when you allow yourself to see yourself as bigger than your problems, you will be bigger than your problems and you'll be able to deal with them. So you might want to do that. You might want to shrink your problems really, 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 really small, and then you'll be bigger, and then you'll be able to handle your problems with more ease, right? So think of any situation that's going on in your life, and then it's just wreaking havoc on your brain. In your brain, right? Remember the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. You have that energy, you have that thought pattern of whatever's bothering you. Squish it up. Make it really, really, really small. And now you are bigger than the problem. Now you're imagining the problem. Okay, well, here we have what's going on, and I want this to go this way. What's the easiest way for me to get things to go that way? It's going to be a lot easier than thinking, oh my God. Because you're not going to be able to defeat something that's that much bigger than yourself. So use the law of relativity. Even, one thing too, in terms of law of attraction, you got to knock things off the pedestal. If you're looking at, say you like somebody, right? And you're thinking, oh my God, this person is amazing. You're putting them on a pedestal. They're out of reach. They're on a pedestal. Or that job that you want, right? Or that amount of money that you want. Take it off the pedestal. Got to get it on level ground with you, right? Because with the law of relativity, if you're seeing what you want, it's just so much bigger than you. Well, there's no chance of you getting it. But if you allow yourself to shrink it and make you bigger than what it is that you want, it's within reach. Of course, I can get this person. Of course. They're not that big of a deal. You've cut them down to size, so to speak, right? So knock things off the pedestal. Anything that you want, if you're making too big of a deal about it, it's going to be out of reach. So knock everything off the pedestal. That's another relativity trick. And then, of course, all circumstances are inherently neutral. Assign positive meaning to an inherently neutral circumstance and receive positive results. So what you want to do is you want to label everything as awesome. You get fired. Fantastic. Your boyfriend cheated on you with your best friend. Great. Awesome. I killed two birds with one stone. I got two horrible people out of my life. Awesome. Great. So I know it's not always going to be easy. I.e., if you were betrayed, obviously I can't expect you to label it awesome straight away. But once you go through your mourning, once you go through your metamorphosis, and your healing, a little bit of healing, you can just tell yourself, this really was for the best. This actually was a good thing. It's good that he cheated. It's good that I lost the job or whatever it might be. Because again, if you assign positive meaning to anything that happens, you're going to derive positive results. It only makes sense, right? If you say, oh, geez, he cheated on me. I'm never going to find anybody again, ever. Okay, again, the universe is Switzerland. The universe does not care. If you say that, that's going to be true. So get to watch your beliefs, because beliefs, as we spoke about in classes previously are requests. When you believe something, you're requesting it. So manifesting with the law of relativity. Use positive comparisons to fuel your motivation, inspiration to drive you toward your goals. So shrink things that are too big. Allow yourself to look at where you're at compared to your past self. I think that's the best way of using comparisons. Look at where you were a year ago. More than likely, you have improved, right? Focus on maximizing your individual talents and strengths. So again, you might look at somebody and say, oh my God, they're so rich, or they're so beautiful, or they're so successful. And that's good. You can admire it, and you can actually focus on what they have if you want it, and incorporate it into your energy aura, incorporate how they flow their energy into how you flow your energy, incorporate how they think into how you think. So if you do that, you're going to align with what they have. But if you wind up using them as a reason to make you feel bad about yourself, well, they're just going to, do better and better and better, and you'll do worse and worse and worse. So you want to really look at your talents and what you have compared to what they don't. Remember, true success is inner peace and fulfillment. There are plenty of people who are, for instance, really, really rich and really, really miserable. It happens. It happens. So remember, it's that inner peace and fulfillment. There are people I've noticed who have jobs that are so coveted. We're talking like jobs that are super high status, that pay an obscene amount of money, and they hate their lives. It's crazy. People would give their arm for these positions. So again, everything really is relative. That person who has that job that literally thousands of people would kill for, she might actually hate her job. She might hate her life. So you just got to keep that in mind. The universe is strange like that, right? Always want to evaluate your thoughts, feelings, and actions through the lens of relativity, ensuring they empower you rather than disempower you. So always look at yourself and from that lens of, oh, look where I was before, right? I've come a long way. And you, of course, want to cultivate a positive self-image to make you bigger than your goals. So you don't want your goals, again, to be on that pedestal, whether it's a guy that you like and you think, oh, wow, he's so fantastic. No, he's not. No, he's a human being. Knock him off the pedestal. Get him on your level. Make him accessible to you. You want more money? Again, money, it's everywhere, right? Knock it off its pedestal. It's paper. It's green paper. It's not that big of a deal. So whatever it is that you want to allow yourself to be bigger than it. So then you're going to be able to control it more. Because if it's this big thing, it's a fool's errand. Does anybody have any questions before we conclude tonight? Well, if you do not, that is, of course, fine. You can always put them in the comments, right? Put them in the comments, and I'd be happy to answer those for you. And of course, you can check out my website, psychicsun.com. If you're interested in a reading, or if you're interested in coaching, parties, gift certificates, or even your horoscope for this next, the current lunation that we're in. So thank you all, especially Casmar and Pam, for joining me tonight. I do appreciate it. And thank you, Casmar. I appreciate that. And I shall see you tomorrow if you're catching this live for This Week Astrology. And that will be at 1 p.m. Eastern every single Friday. So have a wonderful rest of your day or night whenever you're seeing this, everyone. And I will for sure see you soon. Bye-bye.